this time of year, lots of folks are starting to pick apples off their tree, and we have quite a few apple trees here on the farm. And so one of the ideas I had thought of was to make an apple press. And a friend of mine, he had made one, and I had got to use his, and it was, you know, really cool to be able to grind up your own apples and make your own cider. And so I really wanted to make one. So I'll just show you how I made this one and the kind of the steps involved and what it takes to make apple cider. So the first thing we did is I had a friend of mine. He had what I'll call a grinder, and this is basically a stainless steel container or a funnel that we dump apples into, and it's got a wheel on it that has some teeth in it, and we spin the handle. It grinds up the apples. The apples come out the bottom, drop into a bucket of some kind, and then we take that bucket of ground up apples and we'll press it on the press side of things. But as far as making one of these goes, here's what kind of the idea. I copied it from a friend, and he made a stand to hold the grinder, which is nothing more than a couple upright 2x4s with some 2x4s down here to hold up this grinder part that also supports a tray that on this side is another upright 2x4 that has a metal frame in here that allows a threaded rod to go down through, and with a plate and a wooden piece of maple, we are able to squeeze down the apples into this basket, and the juice comes out the bottom. The tray itself, kind of show you a couple of the parts. So the tray is nothing more than a piece of maple that we put some edges on, and I covered it with a piece of Traeger foil, but you don't have to do that. You could put the juice right on a piece of maple wood and it would be fine. The hardwood is good for making juice. The basket itself we made out of just 1x1 maple pieces, or about a foot long. Made the circle about 9-10 inches wide on the inside diameter, and screwed some stainless steel strapping onto the 1x1s. And so anyway, kind of make almost like a wine barrel basket, but has little slots in it for the juice to squeeze out, but not all the apple pieces. So we'll get this basket here. The basket, like I said, we'll put this underneath the grinder, grind some apples in there, dump the apples into this other basket that we made, and then once we put the top on it, just squeeze it down and make some cider. It takes a lot of apples to make a decent amount of cider, but luckily we end up having a apple tree fall over, and so we got a ton of apples that were ready to go, and this will make it probably quite a bit of several gallons of cider. The first step in making apple cider is we're going to disinfect the apples a little bit. We're going to put them in a big 50-gallon bucket of water and a little bit of vinegar. You can use white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. Both will work as a disinfectant. And then we're going to give the apples a little bit of a bath. We're going to cut up the apples. Now you can do this a couple ways. Some people will just grind up the whole apple. I like to cut it up so that you can kind of get rid of the nasty stuff that's in there. If you got a rotten part, you could cut it up with an apple core. That kind of seems to work well. And so then if you got any bad pieces, you can take them out. That looks pretty good, so we don't need to do that. You can also just chop them in half, and so sometimes a bigger piece of apple will grind up better. It's more stuff to kind of catch and grab onto. But let's get a basket full of these apples. And then, if I have any bad chunks, I just save those and feed those to the pigs. what we'll do, we'll dump the apples in here. Okay. So then we'll start grinding these up. And then when you get to the last few pieces, you can kind of force them in. So we'll do another round of that. Put some pressure on the top. Grind it in the mat. The next thing is to take these apple chunks and to pour it into this basket. You get it somewhat centered under this. You take this piece of hard maple wood, you put it in on top there. This is what's going to press evenly on the piece of wood. Okay, it's easier to build this level, and then you know, you do have to lift up this end to make the juice slope into the container. But if you try to build it with a slope, it makes it difficult because then it's just better to build everything level and then just put a piece of wood under there. Go ahead and squeeze this down, and we'll hope to get juice. Well, you can see even just right away, the juice is starting to come out of there as we squeeze it. And it doesn't take much pressure before it starts coming. And just kind of let the juice do its thing. Give it a couple cranks. And let it sit for a minute. So when I made in the past, it's a lot of pressure on that wood and the bands. So I tried to use aluminum strapping and it didn't work. And so now we're trying steel strapping. And I think that's gonna work a lot better. I mean, I don't know how many apples that took. It looks like about 1 glass of juice takes about 10 apples, but or more. But you do a wheelbarrow full of apples and you'll get, you know, quite a bit of juice out of it. Dump that in there, and then the pigs will eat that. This works good, this container here. So you put the funnel in it, you put some sort of a strainer in there that'll hold it. So the heavy bottle works nice for that because it holds it up. And then you just take your juice and dump it in there. And all the filter really does is get out any little tiny chunks, but probably doesn't matter if you leave them in there. There'll be a film, an apple really fine fiber film in your jug. So when I drink it, I just shake it up, and at the end you get a little bit of fiber at the bottom, but it doesn't taste it. You don't really taste it, or you don't really feel it when you drink it. But yeah, I don't know. What's that? 10 apples makes about 15, 20 ounces of juice. So yeah, that's it.